Welcome to the ETFinalScore.com preview show. We're ending week 3 of the playoffs here in East Texas, along with basketball being in full swing. I'm Trevor Pill, joined by Chris Perry and Travis Yoasting. Most schools are out for the week for Thanksgiving break, but sports never stop. Let's get right to it. The first game I want to talk about is a battle of some undefeateds. We got Union Grove and Alto squaring off in Carthage. Now, it's, like I said, they're both undefeated. How do you think this game is going to go?
Union Grove's had a terrific season, and they're going to be able to look back and have a terrific season. You can obviously see where I'm going with this. I just think Alto's way too loaded on offense, and they seem like they do exactly what they need to do on defense. I just don't think Union Grove has enough, but I do like what Union Grove does, which is run the football, the old school way of doing things, let the defense hold the teams. I just think Alto has too much in the long run.
Yeah, I kind of agree. Union Grove, it's been a great season for them, but Keenan Johnson and Alto, I think they have too much. They've got the experience. Alto's been there before. They've been in this position many times, and Union Grove, they're kind of new to this playoff run. So I think Alto's experience will come through for them.
Well, it stinks that 2 undefeated teams, you get your first loss. That's going to be a huge one for your football squad. Moving on, we got Mineola. They're continuing their dominance as last week they defeated Commerce 42-14. They'll face Pilot Point Saturday, who is 10-2. Both teams have cruised through the playoffs so far. How do you see this game going?
Yeah, I think Mineola can continue their run. Obviously they've been playing great right now, and ever since they dropped in classification, they're playing teams more their size. They're definitely showing how good of a football team they are.
Pilot Point is one of those historic programs, perennial playoff team. Matter of fact, I just got off the phone with Joe Drennan just a couple hours ago. I'm going to do a story for our paper later this week. He really talks about everyone talks about their quarterbacks and their running backs, which are fantastic. But he says the offensive line is the reason why Mineola is as good as they are this year. They're just big up front. They're nasty. They're physical, and that's the kind of thing you need in the playoffs. So I think Mineola has what it takes, but it's tough when you're going up against a perennial playoff team like Pilot Point is.
Yeah, it's going to be a game for us to keep our eyes on. You can also find some of that on ETFinalScore.com whenever they square off. Also from our TAPS teams, Gorman came away with a win against Brook Hill, like you both called it, in the picket line last week. Now they'll play Dallas Christian again for the second time. First time they lost by 3 points. Do you think Gorman has what it takes to pull off this rematch as well?
Yeah, I think so. Gorman's, they've grown a lot since those back-to-back losses early in the season to Brook Hill and Dallas Christian. They obviously beat Brook Hill last week. They want a little revenge now against Dallas Christian. And last time they met, it was an overtime game. It was close. Could have gone either way. And, Gorman, the way they're playing right now, I think they're going to pull it out.
What about you, Chris?
Gorman has all of the momentum right now. The one thing that I would caution is that the game that was so close was at Bishop Gorman High School. If it was at Dallas Christian and it had been that close, that would have really kind of made me think, well, neutral site, both teams, Dallas Christian, kind of like Pilot Point, is a perennial playoff team. They've been here before. They know what they're doing. I just think that something's happening at Bishop Gorman this year. This is one of those special seasons, one of those special deals that I agree with Travis. I do think that the Crusaders are going to find a way to pull this game out.
And they've got so many seniors. I think 17 seniors. That's a big deal when you're making a playoff run like this. These guys don't want their season to end.
Yeah, and you were at the game with them against Brook Hill this past weekend at West Rusk. How did Gorman look offensively?
Offensively, they couldn't throw many deep balls because of the weather. It was windy, it was rainy. But they did hit the one big one to Judah Bell for 68 yards and a touchdown. That was kind of a big play in the game right there. And really, the game was about their defense. So their defense came through, stopped Brook Hill on the goal line stand, and that was the difference of the game.
I think that's what makes Gorman even more attractive in this matchup is they've been able to just outscore teams and just really offensively been able to do what they wanted to be able to do when they want to do it. They couldn't really do that last week with the weather and the conditions, but they still found a way to get it done. And that right there, when things start happening like that, that's when you really start taking notice of Bishop Gorman and what they can accomplish.
Now, people always throw back and forth who won, who lost. Of course, Brook Hill defeated Dallas Christian by 3. Gorman lost by 3 to Dallas Christian. What do you think Gorman has to do to pull off a win in this semifinal game?
It's going to be down to defense again, and if they can hold Dallas Christian to 21 points in regulation again, I think Gorman has a good chance because the way they're playing on offense, they're always going to score points, and really it's about converting chances when they get them in the red zone.
Keys to victory?
Well, he talked about it right there, Travis, because Dallas Christian has that power style running game where they can just hold the ball forever. and they can get you into a 21-24 game. That was very rare for Gorman to be in this season. They've been in more in those 30-point games where they've been able to score points. They need to jump out fast. Cannot afford to get down on this team 14-0 or something like that, just because it's so difficult to come back against Dallas Christian. But if they get that early momentum, get some touchdowns, do not turn the ball over. It's the playoffs. That's how it always is. I think they're going to get it done.
Awesome. Another game to keep your eye on, ET Final Score. Travis will be at that game, Corsicana game. It is a semifinal game. Again, rematch against Dallas Christian. Let's head to one of our sponsors. When we return, let's break down some more area football and talk some basketball as well.
At Kelly Community Federal Credit Union, we have a monopoly on savings. So cruise on over to a Kelly Community branch today for big savings on loan rates and better earnings on deposits and investments.
At Kelly Community.
Welcome back to the ETFinalScore.com preview show where it's all about sports. I'm Trevor Pill. With me is Travis Yosting, Chris Perry. Now we have two other big football games to talk about. Let's get right to those. The first one, Gilmer and Gladewater at Lobo Stadium.
Two rival teams, two teams that play each other every year, but they didn't play each other this year because of different districts. And you could just almost feel at the beginning of the year like, wow, what happens if Gladewater somehow gets to do what they, if things get rolling with Gladewater, and Gilmer's always going to be there. They just seem like they always are. And now we get the matchup that we were kind of hoping for. It's going to be Gilmer's quick strike, high-powered offense against Gladewater's smash mouth, run the ball down your throat, play defense style, and we kind of get a chance to see which style wins out in the end.
What do you think it's going to look like?
Yeah, definitely. East Texans have been waiting for this matchup for a long time, and it's finally here. And like you're saying, Gilmer likes to get out ahead. They've gotten ahead of everyone so quickly, so fast, and they're so powerful on offense. It's going to be a challenge to see if Gladewater can keep it close with their running game, their defense. And if they can, Gilmer hasn't been in too many close games, and you want to test Gilmer, see what they're made of.
Especially in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
You want to see, the only team that's really given Gilmer trouble was Tatum, and I think that game was still in hand, even though Tatum kind of scored a couple late, but Gilmer was in control of that football game. You want to see what happens to Gilmer when they're in a ball game with 5 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter, and see what happens. And that's not Gilmer's fault. They're just so much better. They're just so much better than everybody they've played. So that's going to be interesting. Travis and I, we've talked about this for a couple weeks because we could see this one happening. We're going, if this thing's happening, and both, I think it was Travis said that Gladewater's so physical. We'll see if Gilmer can handle the physicality that Gladewater presents, running the football and just how physical they are on defense.
Yeah, no, don't make your pick yet. We'll save that for a little bit. But what do you think Gladewater has to do to slow down that striking offense of Gilmer?
Keep them off the field. I mean, and it's just as simple as that. Run the football, burn clock, and give them as little possessions as you can because they're going to score when they get the ball.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Yeah.
Well, again, that's something to keep our eye on. We got Dalen Mack for Gladewater, the cover guy for our ETFinalScore.com magazine that we put out at the beginning of the season. And, of course, over on the other side for Gilmer, you got Chris Boyd and Blake Lynch, two guys that can score and make some big plays. Let's move on a little bit over to our JT game. Now, JT's taking on Rockwall Heath. Rockwall Heath has only allowed 6 points so far throughout the playoffs. What does JT have to do to come away with the win?
Yeah, they've got the offense that they can score on anyone. It's going to be a matter of making sure that their defense gets off the field because Rockwall Heath, they're going to try to eat the clock away and keep JT's offense off the field. So it's going to be the battle of really third down conversions. I think are going to be key in this game.
How do you see JT faring in this?
At first glance, I would have figured JT is the clear favorite, and they are, as long as they do what they're supposed to do. But when you hang with US Trinity, and when Mesquite Poteet is one of your only losses, you start looking at their schedule. I mean, Heath has played well against everybody. They've beaten Garland, and I saw Garland, just Lee not be able to stop Garland, for 4 quarters. So those kinds of things kind of stick with you. I do think John Tyler has what it takes. I think if they do not make mistakes and they just stay within themselves, let their defense make plays, which they've done all season long. Gio McAllister needs to move the chains, like what Travis is saying. I think they need to run the football, and I think they're going to be okay.
How do you think the defense is going to show up for JT?
Yeah, the JT defensive line has been stellar all year, and with Rockwall Heath, they like to tighten things up a little bit. I think that'll kind of hopefully play into their hands. They hope. The question will be, like I said, just making sure that they don't run the ball for 8-minute drives and keep JT's offense off the field.
Has Coach Holmes said anything about this Rockwall Heath team?
Yeah, he said pretty much what I was saying. They've got to make sure to not turn the ball over. That's always key, obviously, in the playoffs. JT turned the ball over a season high 4 times last week, but they're still able to win. But you do that against Rockwall Heath, you're not coming out with a win.
Again, Friday at noon, McLean Stadium. John Tyler will be taking on a very good Rockwall Heath football team. That is something to keep your eyes on as well on ETFinalScore.com and with Travis on Twitter. And then also, let's kick it on over to our picket line where you got 5 games, 5 picks. Chris, 24-11. Travis, 26-9. Some of the bigger games here from East Texas that are going to be taking place. Start off with Henderson and Jasper.
Jasper. I believe that even though Henderson has done well, Jasper, it seems like the team's going to knock them off.
I think I'm going to go with Henderson.
Henderson, all right. And then you got Atlanta and Tatum.
Go with Atlanta. They're playing great right now.
And said I'm going to go with Tatum. I believe it's very difficult to beat a team twice, and Atlanta beat Tatum already the first time.
And then, of course, another game we've talked about a little bit, TK Gorman and Dallas Christian.
We were talking back and forth about. I've picked against Bishop Gorman so many times this year, and they've proven me wrong. I'm just not going to go against them this time. I believe Bishop Gorman's going to find a way to beat Dallas Christian.
Yeah, like you said, it's hard to beat a team twice, and I think Gorman's going to come away with this one.
All right, and the other big one, we got Gilmer and Gladwater, of course.
I'm going to have to go with Gilmer. They have just too much firepower.
That's exactly what I think. I think Gladwater is going to try to get them into a game, and if they do, who knows? I just think Gilmer has too much.
And then our final one, of course, Rockwall Heath and John Tyler.
A little interesting because I've seen Rockwall Heath a couple times with Lee being in the same district as them. I believe John Tyler is rolling at the right time. They're playing the right football. I think JT's going to get it done.
Yeah, I'm going to go with JT as long as they don't turn it over too much. I think they'll come out with the win.
There you go. You have your picks right there. Both of them went 4-1 last week. Real quick, the only game that was lost was that Longview game. What do you think of that?
That was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, that was crazy because Longview's so successful at Rose Stadium. It just didn't happen for them. And you got to give that team from Mansfield a lot of credit.
You thought after they fell behind, came back, took the lead, you thought, okay, they're going to roll from here on out. But obviously, Lake Ridge was just too good.
Was it falling down 17-0 or something like that?
I believe they're down 16-0.
16-0, fall down again, but a slow start. They couldn't get back from it. And then also, not only that, football, let's kick it over to some basketball. We got a tournament here this weekend, the 28th and 29th at White House. Break that down for us a little bit.
Well, it's the Woodman of the World tournament. It used to be called the Burger King Classic, and now it's the Woodman of the World tournament. And it's at White House High School. It was at Harrington Patriot Center at UT Tyler. It's been moved to White House because the UT Tyler basketball is playing this weekend. It's just a chance for fans if they want to go and watch some basketball. If they don't feel like jumping in the car and driving a long way, because all these playoff games are quite a few miles away. They want to see some basketball. It's at White House High School, and they can go check it out. Just a quick rundown of the schedule. There's quite a few games over a 2-day period. It starts off at 9 a.m. between Brownsboro and TK Gorman. 11 o'clock is Frankson versus Van. Noon is Laneville versus White Oak. 1:30 is Grace Community versus Wills Point. 3 o'clock, Grand Sling Girls versus Union Grove. Winona against Union Grove. That's a guys' game again. And then 6 o'clock, Center versus Jacksonville. And it kicks off, which a game I'm kind of intrigued about, All Saints versus White House. Because the All Saints, the All Saints boys basketball team is for real, and you know White House is going to be good. White House is always good at basketball, so that's an intriguing game. On Saturday, Bullard against Gorman. Not sure how many kids from Gorman are going to be there. I think they've got more pressing a more pressing situation on Saturday. 11:30, Grace versus Canton. Mount Pleasant Chapel Hill versus All Saints is at 1 o'clock. That'll also be an interesting game. Palestine versus Jacksonville at 3 o'clock. Center versus Lindale at 4:30. Maybank versus Lee at 6 o'clock, which is interesting. This dude graduated from Maybank High School. Lee is coming off a very poor showing against Lufkin, and they're going to be playing John Tyler. We're filming this a little early. They're going to be playing John Tyler later this week, so we'll see how that works out, but that's going to be an interesting game. And then finally, Chapel Hill versus White House to finish it out. So quite a few basketball games going on over a 2-day period. Yeah,
a fun weekend. You got Thanksgiving, then you got football, basketball all weekend long. Guys, thanks for your time. Thanks for your picks. That is going to wrap up the ETFinalScore.com preview show. Hope you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed breaking things down for you. As Thanksgiving week is upon us, many people are headed out of town to be with family, but ET Final Score will be here, still providing live highlights on Facebook and Twitter. So if you need to be updated, we got you covered. Enjoy your Thanksgiving, and we will see you next week.